Everything seems to be working on my end. I'm gonna turn up the what am I turning up? I'm turning up the mic on my end just to make sure everybody can hear and you guys can come into this space loud and clear. And y'all, welcome to this space where we are reading. Got to get my book right here. We're reading the. See, I got mail to hold the spot, and just like that, I just can't believe I just took it out. But we gonna find our spot again for sure. I believe I got excited and just I already took out the spot, but we gonna dig in, and if we go back just a little bit, it'll be all right. Let's see where we were. We did the introduction. We were almost at the introduction. So y'all bear with me. I must be a little nervous and kind of excited just to start. So I'm going looking back through where we were because I had it marked, and then just like that, I took it out. But I want to say, I think this is where we were 18. So here we are. We're going to be reading from my book, The Four Agreements. So if you're watching the replay, forgive all that. I'm getting situated. We're getting set up to be in this space. And we're just going to take a breath, God dog it. We're going to take a breath, clear our space, and get into this moment of reading with you all. I hope everyone is doing well wherever you are on your journey, wherever you are on your journey, on your healing journey. We just bid you blessings. And I'm just going to take a breath, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Father, Creator, thank you for this moment. Thank you for this time to come together and read and be in this space of alignment and enlightenment. I ask that you remove all the clutter, all the noise, that we'll be able to focus on what it is that we need to gain from this experience. God, I thank you. We let it be so, and so it is. So I figure I start with this session with just a song, and then we'll get into um, the reading. We are reading from the Four Agreements again. And if I haven't introduced myself, hey, my name is Titus Glenn. I'm a singer, songwriter, sound healer, spiritual deconstruction coach. And I just have been feeling led to just come on to just read, going back to the Four Agreements. Why the Four Agreements? Because the Four Agreements help me to unlearn and be okay with asking those questions, asking, you know, God about God, asking, what am I here for? Asking about my sexuality, asking about these things that in my church upbringing I couldn't ask about or didn't feel comfortable with asking about because it was automatically like it was a sin, and no, we don't do that. So let's just take another breath, and I'm gonna play this song, and then after this song we'll get into the Four Agreements. Now, this song I'm going to get ready to play is coming up from the album I'm working on called Home Alone, Meditations and Songs for Grief and Anxiety During the Holidays. So let's just play it, and while people are getting settled, get your coffee, get those things, and then come back and be settled right after this song. I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety
and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me.
Now, this is the moment you let go. Take a breath in and breathe out. Let your shoulders drop. Let your mind soften. Let the weight you've been carrying loosen its grip. Breathe in peace. Breathe out everything that isn't yours. Allow your heart to remember its rhythm. Allow your body to settle into the truth. Allow peace to return to you. You are safe right here. You're supported right here. And this is the moment that you really let go.
I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety and I tap into the peace that's within me. I release anxiety.
So that is I Release Anxiety. That's coming up from the new album that we are working on, from the holiday album called Home Alone, which is about for meditations and songs for handling grief and anxiety during the holidays. So we're getting ready to get into our book. Hey, my name is Titus Glenn. We're reading from the Four Agreements. Again, the Four Agreements is just really a good way to reset, to restart your year, to remind yourself of boundaries and remind yourself, hey, Zendrum, Lo-Fi, thanks for being a part of this space. To remind yourself of healing and remind yourself of what this world really is. Because sometimes life be lifing and it'd be like, what is happening? And if you're not too careful, you'll get caught up in life lifing and you'll think that it's going to stay that way. But I was reminded, those song I was listening to this morning by Leandra, like better days are coming. Like if this been a year for you, 2025, know that there's always 2026. And if not 2026, 2027. Things eventually have to turn if you would imagine, if you would think, if you would be positive and just continue to hold on and push through. All right, so let's get into it. We are on page, let's go, let me say 18. I'm going to start with 17 and then we'll get to 18 and we'll read it from the Four Agreements. So do me a favor, share this live because the conversations and the information that's out this book is definitely life changing. So let's get into it. During the process of domestication, we form an image of what perfection is in order to try to be good enough. We create an image of how we should be in order to be accepted by everybody. We especially try to please the ones who love us, like mom and dad, big brothers and sisters, the priest and the teacher, trying to be good enough for them. We create an image of perfection, but we don't fit this image. We create this image but this image is not real. You hear me? We are never going to be perfect from this point of view. Never. And this was my experience in coming out of the Christian faith. Not speaking against the Christian faith, I'm speaking about the experience that I had about maintaining a level of perfectionism, always at the altar, repenting constantly for sins and feeling like really like you couldn't do anything right. Well, I could let me speak it personal because I don't want people hopping on, but in my experience and from other people that I've talked to, as we are unpacking and learning, this is a big factor of the dogmatic Christian faith. And I'm pretty sure that there are other Christians that practice Christianity in a way that's not dogmatic. But my experience, I came up out of a dogmatic type of Christianity. So here we go. 18. Not being perfect, we reject ourselves. And the level of self rejection depends upon how effective the adults were in breaking our integrity. Let's read that again. Not being perfect, we reject ourselves, and the level of self-rejection depends on how effective the adults were in breaking our integrity. After domestication, it is no longer about being good enough for anybody else. We are not good enough for ourselves because we don't fit with our own image of perfection. Woo! So we create the image, and then this image has been created based on other beliefs. But the image that we create, we can't even live up to. We are not good enough for ourselves because we don't fit with our own image of perfection. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being what we wish to be, or rather, what we believe we should be. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being perfect. Man, that whole paragraph is edible. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being what we wish to be, or rather, what we believe we should be. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being perfect. We know we are not what we believe we're supposed to be, and so we feel false, frustrated, and dishonest. We try to hide ourselves and we pretend to be what we are not. The result is that we feel unauthentic, and wear social masks to keep others from noticing this. We are so afraid that somebody else will notice that we are not what we pretend to be. Woo. We are so afraid that somebody else will notice that we are not what we pretend to be. We judge others according to our image of perfection as well, and naturally, they fall short of our expectations. I don't know about you, but this is like testimony time for me, especially coming out of the closet, being a black gay male, and still wanting to love God. It was almost like I had this image that, yes, especially social media, it's like I had this image that I couldn't be gay and love God, or I could be gay, but I wouldn't be loved by God because I had this image of what society tells me I should be. I got married because society, church, said that I should get married. You should have 4 kids. You should raise a family. So I never had the opportunity to really think about what it is that I wanted. And when divorce happened, it's almost like it was a crushing of that image. It was literally a crushing of that image because I had in my head, okay, God, I thought this is what you wanted for my life. So this is amazing because then on the other side of that, we judge other people. I was judged. I've judged other people. Listen, I was judging other people last night. Yes, and I had to catch myself because I realized it wasn't them, it was me, right? But a lot of people don't realize that the judgment is really not about the other person. But we'll get that. We'll dissect that later. Okay, let me not get ahead of myself. We dishonor ourselves just to please other people. We even do harm to our physical bodies just to be accepted by others. You see teenagers taking drugs just to avoid being rejected by other teenagers. They are not aware that the problem is that they don't accept themselves. They reject themselves because they are not what they pretend to be. They wish to be a certain way, but they are not. And for this, they carry shame and guilt. Humans punish themselves endlessly for not being what they believe they should be. They become very self abusive and they use other people to abuse themselves as well. I'm gonna try not to stop on every paragraph, but there's so many things that are coming up for me when I'm reading and reminding myself just about my own human development. I know last year it was really heavy and it has come up a lot this year. Like I'm a creative and I realize that it's hard for me to work a 9 to 5. Not that I don't want to work, hear me out. But there's something in me that is totally like fighting, resistant. And I used to beat myself up. It's like, why I can't be like everybody else? Why can't I just be okay with working this 9 to 5 and be okay and not have this dream, have this vision of doing music, doing content creation, and not be judged because I'm on this path. I know, right? Allergic, absolutely. I'm on this path of expanding and being entrepreneurship, but you feel the judgment from family members, from friends, from people, you need to go hustle, you need to go do that. But there's something innate in me that says that's not who I am. And to fight against that, having to, let me say it this way, to be able to breathe and be okay with the path that I'm on is work. But this sums it up. This sums it up because I'm learning that I cannot pretend anymore. Humans punish themselves endlessly for not being what they believe they should be. They become very self abusive and they use other people to abuse themselves as well. But nobody abuses us more than when we abuse ourselves. And it is the judge, the victim, and the belief system that makes us do this. Now, we talked about this last week that we are the judge and we are the victim. And we remain on this cycle. We remain on the woe is me. And then we turn and you did that, you did that. And we have this inner conflict within ourselves because we've been taught what's right and what's wrong. So when we do the wrong thing, now we're judging ourselves for doing the wrong thing, but then now we're feeling bad about doing the wrong thing. But it's all tied to what we believe about what we think is wrong based upon how we've been taught. Listen, but nobody abuses us more than we abuse ourselves, and it is the judge, the victim, and the belief system that makes us do this. True, we find people who say their husband or wife or mother or father abused them, but you know that we abuse ourselves much more than that. The way we judge ourselves is the worst judge that ever existed. The way we judge ourselves is the worst judge that ever existed. If we make a mistake in front of people, we try to deny the mistake and cover it up. But as soon as we are alone, the judge becomes so strong. The guilt is so strong. And we feel so stupid or so bad or so unworthy. If we make if we make a mistake in front of people, we try to deny the mistake. We try to deny the mistake and cover it up. But as soon as we are alone, the judge becomes so strong. The guilt is so strong and we feel so stupid or so bad or so unworthy. In your whole life, nobody has ever abused you more than you have abused yourself. Let's say that again. In your whole life, nobody has ever abused you more than you have abused yourself. And the limit of your self abuse is exactly the limit that you will tolerate from someone else. If someone abuses you a little more than you abuse yourself, you will probably walk away from that person. But if someone abuses you a little less than you abuse yourself, you will probably stay in the relationship and tolerate it endlessly. This is so, so yummy because I think about just relationships that I'm in now, and there's a level of disrespect that I can tolerate until I realize that I don't want to do that to myself anymore. I don't want to do that to myself anymore. I think in past relationships, when I realized how I was being treated and I'm starting to connect the dots that it was not only me realizing it, but it was me now feeling another level of self worth. It was now me accepting a better aspect of who I am. And I think this is, man, let's read that paragraph again. In your whole life, nobody has ever abused you more than you've abused yourself. And the limit of your self abuse is exactly the limit that you will tolerate from someone else. If someone else abuses you a little more than you abuse yourself, you will probably walk away from that person. But if someone abuses you a little less than you abuse yourself, you will probably stay in a relationship and tolerate it endlessly. If you abuse yourself very badly, you can even tolerate someone who beats you up, humiliates you, and treats you like dirt. Why? Because in your belief system, you say, I deserve it. This person is doing me a favor by being with me. I'm not worthy of love and respect. I'm not good enough. I think this is hard for me to read out loud because you think about domestic violence. Let me say, I think about domestic violence and I don't condone it by any means. However, this is almost giving a different perception that it's not just the person that is abusing that's been abusive that's the issue. It's the acceptance as well. The fact that you tolerate the abuse is an indicator that there's something inwardly in you that says that it's okay. And that is something to just really sit with. If you watch this video and you're being abused, I send you much love and light. And I will ask you the question, what in you tells yourself that you deserve it? We have the need to be accepted and to be loved by others, but we cannot accept and love ourselves. Whew. We have the need to be accepted and to be loved by others, but we cannot accept and love ourselves. The more self love we have, the less we will experience self abuse. That's the more self love we have, the less we will experience self abuse. Self abuse comes from self rejection, and self rejection comes from having an image of what it means to be perfect and never measuring up to that ideal. Our image of perfection is the reason we reject ourselves. It is why we don't accept ourselves the way we are, and why we don't accept others the way they are. Ooh, I'm telling you, there's so many repeatable lines in here. Self abuse comes from self rejection, and self rejection comes from having an image of what it means to be perfect and never measuring up to that ideal. Our image of perfection is the reason we reject ourselves. It is why we don't accept ourselves the way we are and why we don't accept others the way they are. So, Prelude to a New Dream. We're on page 21 and we're reading from the Four Agreements for those that are hopping in. There are thousands of agreements you have made with yourself, with other people, with your dream of life, with God, with society, with your parents, with your spouse, with your children. But the most important agreements are the ones you made with yourself. And these agreements, you tell yourself who you are, what you feel, what you believe, and how to behave. The result is what you call your personality. In these agreements, you say, this is what I am. This is what I believe. I can do certain things, and some things I cannot do. This is reality. That is fantasy. This is possible. That is impossible. Just all the things that we tell ourselves, right? One single agreement is not such a problem, but we have many. But we have many agreements that make us suffer, that make us fail in life. If you want to live a life, if you want to live a life of joy and fulfillment, you have to find the courage to break these agreements that are fear-based and claim your personal power. The agreements that come from fear require us to expend a lot of energy. The agreements that come from fear require us to expend a lot of energy. But the agreements that come from love help us to conserve energy and even gain extra energy. Each of us is born with a certain amount of personal power that we rebuild every day after we rest. Unfortunately, we spend all our personal power first to create all these agreements and then to keep these agreements. Our personal power is dissipated by all the agreements we have created. And the result is that we feel powerless. We have just enough power to survive each day because most of it is used to keep the agreements that trap us in the dream of the planet. How can we change the entire dream of our life when we have no power to change even the smallest agreement? If we can see it in our agreements, if we can see it is our agreements that rule our own life, we don't like the dream of our life. We need to change the agreements. Let me say that again because I feel like I got jumbled up. If we can see it is our agreements that rule our own life and we don't like the dream of our life, we need to change the agreements. When we are finally ready to change our agreements, there are four very powerful agreements that will help us to break those agreements that come from fear and deplete our energy. Each time you break an agreement, all the power you used to create it returns to you. If you adopt these four new agreements, they will create enough personal power for you to change the entire system of your old agreements. You need a very strong will in order to adopt the four agreements. But if you can begin to live your life with these agreements, the transformation in your life will be amazing. You will see the drama of hell disappear right before your eyes. Instead of living in a dream of hell, you will be creating a new dream, your personal dream of heaven. And I can testify to this because reading this first time around, just letting people take care of themselves was a big thing for me. That's what I got the initial time I read the book was understanding that people move based upon what's going on with their internal structure and it ain't got nothing to do with me. And that was transformation all in itself. Not to take things personally. So we normally stay on here for an hour, so we got 30 more minutes. So if you rocking with us, thank you for staying and being here. And if you're coming through, hey, my name is Titus Glenn, spiritual deconstruction coach and creative artist, and we are here. We are here reading the four agreements. So thank you for the subscriptions and thank you for liking and following this page. So, the first agreement, be impeccable with your word. And we're on page 25. Be impeccable with your word is the first agreement. The first agreement is the most important one and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. It sounds very simple, but it is very, very powerful. Why your word? Your word is the power that you have to create. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God. The Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God." Through the Word, you express your creative power. It is through the Word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through the Word. What you dream, what you feel, and what you really are will all be manifested through the Word. The Word is not just a sound or a written symbol, the Word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. You can speak, you can speak, sorry. What other animal on the planet can speak? Let's run that back. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. You can speak. What other animal on the planet can speak? The word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is the tool of magic. But like a sword with two edges, your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. One edge is the misuse of the word, which creates a living hell. The other edge is the impeccability of the word, which will only create beauty, love, and heaven on earth. Depending on how it is used, the word can set you free, or it can enslave you even more than you know. All the magic you possess is based on your word. Your word is pure magic, and misuse of your word is black magic. The word is so powerful that one word can change a life or destroy the lives of millions of people. Some years ago, one man in Germany, by the use of the word, manipulated a whole country of the most intelligent people. He led them into a world war with just the power of his word. He convinced others to commit the most atrocious acts of violence. He activated people's fear with the word, and like a big explosion, there was killing and war all around the world. All over the world, humans destroyed other humans because they were afraid of each other. Hitler's word, based on fear generated beliefs and agreements, will be remembered for centuries. I think outside of Hitler, what's being remembered from a deconstruction point of view is all the things that we were taught. I was taught as a Christian on how to look at other people and what they choose. If you choose a divorce, that person is sin or that person is going to hell. If a woman preaches, that's not of God. If somebody's speaking in tongues in church, that's not of God. Like, we've been given all these things. Well, I don't know where you are. I don't know what you got going on. But I was given all these things that put me at odds with other people. And it kind of gave me this level of arrogance that I didn't know I had. But it was all based upon the word, using the word of God. Ain't that something? Not said that out loud. Like using the word of God. Using this Bible, people have manipulated. You go through slavery, they had a slave Bible, and slaves probably stayed in that position because of fear, because of what they were being told, especially, hundreds of years afterwards when they don't have access to how everything started, right? OMG. So good. The human mind is like a fertile ground where seeds are continually being planted. Thank you for the like, fam. The seeds are opinions, ideas, and concepts. You plant a seed, a thought, and it grows. The word is like a seed, and the human mind is so fertile. The only problem is that too often it is fertile for the seeds of fear. Every human mind is fertile, but only for those kinds of seeds it is prepared for. What is important is to see which kind of seeds our mind is fertile for and to prepare it to receive the seeds of love. Take the example of Hitler. He sent out all those seeds of fear and they grew very strong and beautifully achieved massive destruction. Seeing the awesome power of the word, we must understand what power comes out of our mouths. One fear or doubt planted in our mind can create an endless drama of events. One word is like a spell, and humans use the word like black magicians, thoughtlessly putting spells on each other. And I think last time I read this book, I was kind of just even sitting with the idea of white and black magic because that in itself is words, right? So I would just say just the words that you speak carry a weight. It could be light, it could be dark, it could be black or white, like, but it's the impact, right? Because I think oftentimes we can think of black magic as negative and white is good, but I think even in that word choice is something to consider. I think it's about the intent of what your words are carrying. Am I making sense? And hopefully I didn't get too deep. Every human is a magician, and we can either put a spell on someone with our word or we can release someone from a spell. We cast spells all the time with our opinions. An example, I see a friend and give him an opinion that just popped into my mind. I say, I see that kind of color in your face in people who are going to get cancer. If he listens to the word and if he agrees, he will have cancer in less than 1 year. That is the power of the word. During our domestication, our parents and siblings gave their opinions about us without even thinking. We believed those opinions and we lived in fear over these opinions, like not being good at swimming or sports or writing. Someone gives an opinion and says, "Look, this girl is ugly." The girl listens, believes she is ugly, and grows up with the idea that she is ugly. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is, as long as she has that agreement, she will believe that she is ugly. That is the spell she is under. By hooking our attention, the word can enter our mind and change a whole belief for better or for worse. Another example, you may believe you are stupid, and you may have believed this for as long as you can. Remember, this agreement can be very tricky because be, this agreement can be very tricky, causing you to do a lot of things just to ensure that you are stupid. You may do something and think to yourself, I wish I was smart, but I must be stupid, or I wouldn't have done that. The mind goes in hundreds of different directions, and we could spend days getting hooked by just that one belief in our own stupidity. I'm gonna read that again because that was some juicy stuff in there, especially in my transition this year of being in between housing and making decisions. I felt really low, like being incapable of succeeding, and I really almost went into a, well, I guess I did go into a dark place for a minute because I didn't know how to look at my situation from a positive point of view. But it's all based upon what I heard people say and what I was telling myself. By hooking our attention, the word can enter our mind and change a whole belief for better or for worse. Another example, you may believe you're stupid, and you may have believed this for as long as you can remember. This agreement can be very tricky, causing you to do a lot of things just to ensure that you are stupid. You may do something and think to yourself, I wish I were smart, but I must be stupid, or I wouldn't have done that. The mind goes in hundreds of different directions, and we could spend days getting hooked by just that one belief in our own stupidity. Then one day, someone hooks your attention and using the word lets you know that you are not stupid. You believe what the person says and make a new agreement. As a result, you no longer feel or act stupid. A whole spell is broken just by the power of the word. Conversely, if you believe you are stupid and someone hooks your attention and says, yes, you are really the most stupid person I have ever met, the agreement will be reinforced and become even stronger. Now, let us see what the word impeccability means. Impeccability means without sin. Impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, which means sin. The M in impeccable means without. So impeccable means without sin. Religions talk about sin and sinners, but let's understand what it really means to sin. A sin is anything that you do which goes against yourself. Sheesh. Let's say that again. A sin is anything that you do which goes against yourself. Everything you feel or believe or say that goes against yourself is a sin. You go against yourself when you judge or blame yourself for anything. Being without sin is exactly the opposite. Being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. From this point of view, the whole concept of sin changes from something moral or religious to something common sense. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self rejection is the biggest sin that you commit. In religious terms of self rejection is a mortal sin which leads to death. Impeccability, on the other hand, leads to life. Let's say that again. From this point of view, the whole concept of sin changes from something moral or religious to something common sense. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self rejection is the biggest sin that you commit. In religious terms, self rejection is a mortal sin which leads to death. Impeccability, on the other hand, leads to life. Being impeccable with your word is not using the word against yourself. If I see you in the street and I call you stupid, it appears that I'm using the word against you. But really, I'm using my word against myself because you're going to hate me for this, and your hating me is not good for me. Therefore, if I get angry and with my words send all that emotional poison to you, I'm using the word against myself. If I love myself, I will express that love in my interactions with you. And then I am being impeccable with the word because that action will produce a like reaction. If I love you, then you will love me. If I insult you, you will insult me. If I have gratitude for you, you will have gratitude for me. If I'm selfish with you, you will be selfish with me. If I use the word to put a spell on you, you're going to put a spell on me. Being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. It means to use your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. If you make an agreement with yourself to be impeccable with your word, just with that intention, the truth will manifest through you and clean all the emotional poison that exists within you. But making this agreement is difficult because we have learned to do precisely the opposite. We have learned to lie as a habit of our communication with others and, more importantly, with ourselves. Let's say that again. We have learned to lie as a habit of our communication with others and, more importantly, with ourselves. We are not impeccable with the word. The power of the word is completely misused in hell. We use the word to curse, to blame, to find guilt, to destroy. Of course, we also use it in the right way, but not too often. Mostly, we use the word to spread our personal poison, to express anger, jealousy, envy, and hate. The word is pure magic, the most powerful gift we have as humans, and we use it against ourselves. We plan revenge. We create chaos with the word. We use the word to create hate between different races, different people, between families, between nations. We misuse the word so often, and this misuse is how we create and perpetuate the dream of hell. Misuse of the word is how we pull each other down and keep each other in a state of fear and doubt. Because the word is the magic that humans possess and misuse. Misuse of the word is black magic. We are using black magic all the time without knowing that our word is magic at all. There was a woman, for example, who was intelligent and had a very good heart. She had a daughter from whom she adored and loved very much. One night she came home from a very bad day at work, tired, full of emotional tension, and with a terrible headache. She wanted peace and quiet, but her daughter was singing and jumping happily. The daughter was unaware of how her mother was feeling. She was in her own world, in her own dream. She felt so wonderful, and she was jumping and singing louder and louder, expressing her joy and her love. She was singing so loud that it made her mother's headache even worse. And at a certain moment, the mother lost control. Angrily, she looked at her beautiful little girl and said, "Shut up. You have an ugly voice. Can you just shut up?" The truth is that the mother's tolerance for any noise was non existent. It was not that the little girl's voice was ugly, but the daughter believed what her mother said, and in that moment, she made an agreement with herself. After she no longer sang, because she believed her voice was ugly and would bother anyone who heard it. She became shy at school, and if she was asked to sing, she refused. Even speaking to others became difficult for her. Everything changed in the little girl because of this new agreement. She believed she must repress her emotions in order to be accepted and loved. Whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement, and it becomes the part of our belief system. This little girl grew up, and even though she had a beautiful voice, She never sang again. She developed a whole complex for one spell. This spell was cast upon her by the one who loved her the most, her mother. Her mother didn't notice what she did with her word. She didn't notice that she used black magic and put a spell on her daughter. She didn't know the power of her word, and therefore she isn't to blame. She did what her own mother, father, and others had done to her in many ways. They misused the word. Man, I'm gonna stop right there because that is, oh my goodness. I'm sitting here thinking about my own, and we're reading from the Four Agreements for those that are hopping in. I'm sitting about thinking about my own upbringing, and I remember playing the piano, singing loudly in my room, and I remember my mom coming in and basically telling me to stop playing because I was getting on my stepfather's nerves. And I'll never forget that because I believe it planted something in me not to really figure out how to play. And although I picked it up here and there, it's never been let me just go full throttle in learning how to play. And so I think that is so real in everybody's experience, the power of people's words. Like we preach from this Bible that we've been given to preach from, but I don't think we really lean in the impact of how we talk to one another, how we talk to ourselves. Even something as small as I don't like that dress. Like somebody the other day came in one of my reels and automatically was like, those glasses are ugly. And I'm like, if I wasn't as self aware as I am now, I probably would have been offended and bothered. But I know now that what we really have to say about other people, especially when it comes to this negative light, is more so about them not accepting parts of themselves, especially when you're greeting somebody for the first time. Like, why would you want it to be, a negative thing? So I encourage us this week to watch your words, watch how you are responding, watch what you're saying, and watch what's being said to you. How are people talking to you? Pay attention, because I think that tells you where people are as well, how they are responding to other people. So I hope that this time together really, really assisted and supported you in your own healing journey. We have some things I would like to share. Today at 3:30, I will be meeting with our virtual choir in the inner chamber. So if you're watching this video and you like to sing and be in community, come hang out with us in the inner chamber. You can visit us at www.titusglen.com/, the inner chamber. Meeting at 3:30. Doors open at 3:30, starting at 3:33 p.m. And I hope to see you there. Also, we are releasing new music. So if you haven't listened to Conscious Christmas, go listen to Conscious Christmas right here on YouTube. Um, and it's just really like 10 minutes worth of listening. Take 10 minutes of your day and go listen to that for those that are awake and realize the stories around Christmas and what's real and what's false and all those things. This album is about sitting with being the light, with being the gift, with the simple things of life, not necessarily the material things. And then be on the lookout for an album that we'll be releasing this week. We're setting our intention to release this week during this holiday season called Home for the Holidays, Meditations and Songs for Grief and Anxiety um, during the holidays. So Home Alone, sorry. Home Alone, Meditations and Songs for Grief and Anxiety during the holidays. So we are growing, we are here, we are stepping in it. And if there's something that you would like for us to discuss, please put in the comments, share it with us. I would love the feedback on your experience on this channel. So, We're here to serve and support. So I think that's all we got, fam. I hope you guys have an amazing day, you know? And I think that's all we got. And I love you back. Take care. We'll sing this and we'll hop out. It goes a little something like this. Just in case you haven't heard it in a while. And just in case you really need to know. Just in case you haven't heard it in a while. Just in case you really need to know. Oh, I love you back, ayy. I love you, I love you, I love you back, ayy. I love you, I love you, I love you back, ayy. I love you, I love you, I love you back. All right, fam, love you. Have an incredible week, and we will talk to y'all later.